strike flight in field 14 on
Merged.
Engaging.
We're engaging.
Fox 4 merged. Ping. Goes merged.
One's merged.
Engaging back into bullseye 090, 5 miles. Going for a Fox 2?
Fox 2. Splash. They didn't even see us. We got one more. I'm on him.
Fox 1, 4, Fox 2.
Hey, you got him. Good splash.
Great job, Doug.
Hey guys, Spudknocker here, as always, and today we're going to take a look at DCS Simple Radio Standalone, or as it's more commonly referred to as SRS.
Guns.
SRS is a free-to-use program made by an awesome dude named Kyrie Bob, and is a fantastic tool for DCS multiplayer pilots, as it allows players to communicate with their squadron or wingmen over simulated radio frequencies, controlled by the actual radio interfaces within our favorite full-fidelity modules. This creates a very immersive and fun experience in DCS World Multiplayer because you can only communicate with other players when your radios within your aircraft are tuned to the correct frequencies. This adds a layer of realism to DCS multiplayer missions because you must work the radio and change frequencies to talk to the correct participants in the mission, just like a real-world military aviator would have to, while also adding very cool and realistic radio effects to players' voices. And while it's called Simple Radio, it can be a little confusing to get set up and working properly. I've found that it's one of the biggest hurdles a DCS World pilot faces when trying to enter into the DCS World multiplayer environment. So to help you guys out, we're going to take a look at how to set up SRS, and myself, along with some volunteers from the Spuds Discord server, will give you a demonstration on how to use this awesome program. So hopefully this will help you guys jump into the awesome world of DCS World Multiplayer, and let's go ahead and get started.
Who's your long final Army Hut? 09.
One touchdown. Harriers are touchdown at Kasab. Holy crap, that was cool.
Nice landings.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Alrighty guys, so here we are in the cockpit of our FA-18, and we're going to go ahead and go over how to set up your SRS and connect to a server and be good to go for flying in DCS World Multiplayer. We're currently in a server. The server is currently paused, and we've got a couple awesome volunteers from the Spuds Discord server to help demonstrate SRS for you guys at home and help you guys get up to speed and get into it much faster so you can join missions, join open multiplayer servers, and generally have fun in DCS multiplayer. So first thing we're going to go over is how to set up your microphone and speakers. Now, usually default microphone will work just fine for you, but when you have multiple microphones, say if you're making DCS World videos or you're doing any kind of video editing work, you may have multiple microphones, so you always want to check to make sure you have the correct microphone set on your microphone. And then for speakers, usually default speakers will work for you, but if you have a more complicated sound setup, say you've got a big home cockpit or you've got a big video editing rig or something like that, you want to make sure you have the correct speaker setting put into there. And then for mic output / pass-through, I usually say no mic output and pass-through. What that will do for you is it'll give you an echo of your own voice into your headset or into your speakers you're using, and that is realistic because in a real aircraft you will hear an echo of your own voice as you're transmitting on the radio. However, if you're making DCS World videos or things like that, or you're just having some fun in DCS, it can get a little bit annoying and doesn't sound quite right compared to a real aircraft, so I usually just turn that to off. I did have one video a couple weeks ago where I did leave this to on, and a lot of people were kind of annoyed by that kind of echo of my voice that came through both channels, both through the unadulterated sound of my voice through my microphone as well as through SRS. So that's up to you. Next thing you want to do is we of course need to connect to a server. So you simply just put your server IP into this box right here and you just hit connect. And then boom, you hear that little doo-doo-doo sound and you're connected. So you want to see two greens down here, one for server, meaning you're connected to the server, one for VoIP, meaning you're connected and able to transmit voice over the internet through SRS. Now the game one over here, usually that will turn green right away, but because we're in a paused DCS server, that is going to give us a yellow exclamation mark in that little circle. But once the server is unpaused and we're all in the jet and ready to go, that will give you a green connection as well. And then lot ATC over there, if you are using lot ATC for any reason, that will connect green as well. Now, next thing we'll take a look at is controls. We'll come over to controls here, and there's only two things you really need to set for 99% of the players in DCS World, unless you're doing some sort of ATC program or things like that. And those two controls are Radio 1 and Radio 2. So to set those, all you gotta do is simply hit set, and then press the button you want. Currently it's my HOTAS Warthog Throttle 3 button, and then for Radio 2 we're going to hit set, and Radio 2 is now set to Warthog HOTAS button number 5 on my throttle. Now you really want to have these two push to talk buttons on your throttle, so that way, or on your HOTAS in some capacity, so that way you can talk to your teammates very quickly and efficiently when you're flying, talking to the strike as a whole, or talking to your wingmen, or anything else you need to talk to. So we'll go ahead and go on over to settings and continue on with the SRS tutorials. So we'll go ahead and come on down here to profile settings. Now there's quite a few different options here that you can change, but a couple options that I think are absolutely essential are radio transmit effects. So this, you can either have a start or an end or both. So that means you get a tick sound, a radio tick sound whenever you start to transmit or whenever you end that transmission. I like to have both on so that way I know when I'm starting my transmission over the radio and when I'm ending my transmission over the radio. Now, radio switch works as push to talk. This one is absolutely essential in my opinion, because it allows you to change those two controls that we set over here for Radio 1 and Radio 2 to be the actual push to talk buttons. Now if you do not turn that on, you'll have to bind a third push to talk button, because those two buttons that we set earlier will just switch you between transmitting on Radio 1 or transmitting on Radio 2 and using a third push to talk button to actually transmit your voice over SRS. So that's why I believe that this option right here is incredibly essential, because it just turns those two buttons into your two push to talk buttons for those two radios. And then another thing that I find to be very, very essential is Radio 1 down here and Radio 2 audio channels. You can move these. I like to have my Radio 1 transmit in my left ear and my Radio 2 transmit in my right ear. Now my reason for this is in most DCS World aircraft, especially the AV-8B Harrier, like the one off to our left, or the FA-18 that we're sitting in here, COM 1 is on our left-hand side, and COM 2 is on our right-hand side. So if you kind of match those up to your ears, being COM 1 being on your left, and COM 1 hearing that on your right ear, it really helps you realize who is talking to you and then who you have to then transmit back to. Like say if we have our TAC frequency on our COM 2, we know that our wingmen are going to be transmitting into our right ear, and then if we have our strike frequency over here on our COM 1, we know that we're going to be receiving orders or commands through our left ear, and then we know exactly what's going on, and it kind of increases our situational awareness a little bit more and leads to less confusion on the radios as a whole. So that's pretty much it, and that should be it for setting up your SRS, and now we're ready to actually hop into game and do a demonstration. Now before we actually start to unpause the server, we're going to take a look at one more thing here. When it comes to using SRS in DCS World and trying to talk to AI in DCS World, you're going to have two separate systems. You're going to have the actual comm switches in your airplane in DCS, as well as your push to talk buttons for SRS. Now your comm switch buttons that you set up, like this comm switch COM 1 and comm switch COM 2 and our F-18, are going to be used for talking to the AI, so talking to tower controllers at airfields, talking to your tankers on the tanker frequency, things like that. So you're going to have, in fact, you can almost think of it as having 4 push to talk buttons, 2 for SRS and 2 for talking to AI within DCS. Alright, so I know that's kind of confusing, but that's why we're also going to do a demonstration from our awesome volunteers here. So say hi, volunteers, if you can.
Hey there.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, James.
Moin.
Awesome, thanks guys. We've got guys from the UK, we've got guys from Germany, and the US here helping us out. So it's a real multinational effort here. So stand by guys, I'm going to go ahead and unpause the server, and then we'll go ahead and check in on our strike frequency, channel 305.00. Alrighty guys, so now that we have the server unpaused, we're going to go ahead and go back over to our Discord, and we're going to mute ourselves on Discord, so that way we aren't double transmitting on both SRS and Discord, and that can reduce confusion as well as reduce any annoying sounds we may hear as we're flying through the mission. Alrighty, so now we are currently ready to actually check in on our different radio frequencies and make sure that everything is working correctly before we start off on our mission. So, Spudknocker checking in on strike frequency 305.00.
Spooky checking in on strike frequency 305.00. Gypsy checking in 305.00. Daniel's checking in 305.
Roger that. Thanks for checking in, guys. And so now I'm going to go ahead and cycle through the different TAC frequencies and talk to each individual flight. So as you guys can see here, we are on preset channel 1 in the COM1, which is currently on 305.00 megahertz. So now I'm going to go ahead and transmit to the TAC frequency that we have set up for our Hornets. So these guys over here, which is going to be 264.000 on preset frequency 2. Alright guys, checking in on the FA-18 TAC channel.
Gypsy with you 264.
Roger that, thank you very much. And now we're going to go ahead and look up the TAC frequency for our F-16s, which is currently on 127.00. So to make this a little bit easier, we're going to go ahead and just go over to the manual entering frequencies page on our COM, on COM2, so 127.000, enter, and we got that now entered into our COM2, and we'll go ahead and push the COM2 push to talk button and talk to our F-16 friends over here. Hey guys, Spudknocker checking in on 127.
Got you 5x5 at 127.
Roger that. Got you guys 5x5 as well. And now, thirdly, we're going to go ahead and swap on over and talk to our friend in the AV-8B Harrier off to our left, who's currently on channel 133 for his TAC frequency. So, there he is. Let's go ahead and talk to him. Spudknocker checking in on 133.
Spudknocker, I read you 5x5.
Roger that. So there we go. We're talking to our AV-8B friend over here off to our left, and we're good to go there. All flights check in on 305.
Pontiac, one flight checking in on 305. Gypsy, Hornet flight checking in 305. AVSB flight checking in on 305.
Roger that, guys. So we're going to go ahead and change to our tower frequency on our COM1, which is going to be 250.3, and then we'll check in on the tower frequency, alright?
Roger.
And we'll bring it back over to the manual entry mode.
Spooky checking in on 250.3.
Roger that. Spud's also checking in on 250.3.
AVSB checking on 250.3.
Roger that. So now we're going to demonstrate how we are actually talking on two different frequencies here. We're going to be talking on our SRS channels to talk to our human teammates over here, our F-16s, our Harriers, and our Hornets. And we're also going to use our DCS push-to-talk buttons to talk to the AI at the tower. So stand by, guys.
Dodge 1-1. Request taxi to runway.
Usually it takes a second.
Dodge 1-1. Clear to taxi to runway 34.
Alrighty guys, we're currently cleared to taxi to runway 34, but we're going to go ahead and stay stationary for the sake of this demonstration. And of course, if you hit the F10 map, we can go ahead and see that Karman Airport, this is runway 34 down here. Alrighty guys, so that was a good demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and hop into an F14, demonstrate the differences in using SRS in an F14, and then we will be finished with the demonstration.
Alright.
Alrighty guys, here we are in the Heapler F14B Tomcat, and Heapler has done a really good job of implementing SRS into DCS World and into the F14 module. I believe this is because the F14 relies so heavily on multi-crew if we had a human teammate in our back seat. So let's go ahead and talk about the differences with using SRS in the F14. Now the biggest difference is your push-to-talk buttons for SRS in the F14 are actually going to be set within the F14 itself. So you want to have your ARC 159 and ARC 182 push-to-talk buttons for SRS only set up on your HOTAS, preferably on your throttle to make for easy access, just like in the FA18 for talking to your teammates, your wingmen, guys on the strike frequency, etc. And then of course we're also going to want to have mic button for UH1 and UHF2, 159 and 182 bound as well. So those are for talking to the AI, just like we did talking to the tower. So our guys should still be on the tower frequency, so let's go ahead and get on the tower frequency here. We're going to go manual. We're going to do 250.3. Spud Knocker checking in on 250.3.
Gypsy's with you, 250.3.
Roger that. Alright, so now we're going to cycle through the different TAC channels, but here in the F14B Tomcat. So we'll go ahead and cycle through the different TAC channels. We'll have Jester switch over to our manual frequency, and we'll go to 305 for our 182 radio. Alrighty guys, so go ahead and switch back over to the strike frequency of 305.00 and check in.
Gypsy's with you, 305.000.
Roger that, Spud's got you 5x5.
ADSD checking in on strike frequency 305.000.
Roger that, got you 5x5. Alrighty, so now we're going to go ahead and cycle through the different TAC channels. So we'll go ahead and bring this back up. 264.00 for the F14s, or the FA18s. Spud's checking in with the F18s.
Heavy 5x5, 264, Gypsy.
Roger that, got you 5x5 on 264.00. Roger that, all flights go ahead and switch on back from 305.00 back to the tower frequency. Spud's checking in on 250.3.
Gypsy 250.3.
Got you 5x5 on 250.3. So now we'll go ahead and demonstrate.
ADSD checking in on 250.3.
Roger that. Roger that, got you 5x5.
SF16 checking on 250.3.
Roger that.
F18 checking in, 225.
Roger that. So I had forgotten that the ARC 159 in the F14 doesn't go all the way down to the very high frequency numbers that the radios in the F16 and the AV8B can get to. So keep that in mind, guys, as you're trying to work your comms in DCS World, as not every comm system and every radio within the jets is exactly the same. You're going to have different aircraft that can reach different frequencies, and even if you fly, say, the Ka-50 or the Mi-8 HIP, you're going to be able to reach frequencies that none of these aircraft that we have here in our demonstration are going to be able to get to. And so as a result, you're going to need to use different aircraft as comm relays that can reach the different frequencies we need to reach. So say if I wanted to give a message to our AV8B friend here, but I couldn't give that to him on the strike frequency, I may want to relay over the strike frequency that message to our F16 friends here off to our left-hand side, who then, because they have the capability with their radios, can then relay the message over to our AV8B friend there. So that's a little bit of a mistake that I just made, but it is something that we can learn from. And just like anything else in DCS World, we're always constantly learning and refining our techniques within DCS World and increasing our skills. So we'll go ahead and demonstrate getting clearance from the tower and using and talking to the AI with our different push-to-talk buttons here in the F14B.
Infield 1-1. Request taxi to runway. Infield 1-1. Clear to taxi to runway 34.
And there we go. Now we've got clearance from the AI to taxi to runway 34, same as we got in the FA-18 over there. Now, there are different ways for working the radios in the different jets in DCS World. Probably the two most closely related ones are the radio systems in the FA-18 and in the AV-8B, but you probably have to learn different systems for the F-16, the F-14B of course, and if you fly the JF-17, that's a whole new kind of situation thrown at you. But they all work exactly the same in terms of how you interact with the radios, how you talk to other players using the different push-to-talk buttons you need to use in order to talk to players, as well as separate push-to-talk buttons you need to use to talk to AI within DCS. Whether that's the control tower, like here at Kerman Airport that we can see right there, or if it's a tanker that you're trying to hook up, connect to, and get gas from. So it is a complicated system, but once you get in a little bit of practice and you start using it on a daily basis, or when you're using it flying missions with friends in DCS World, it becomes second nature. So I hope this helps you guys set up SRS and use SRS in the future when it comes to joining my missions, anyone else's missions, open servers that are always online, or anything like that. So thanks a lot, guys, and big thanks for our volunteers from the Spuds Discord server who agreed to participate in this little demonstration. So thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, no problem.